All right, hello and welcome to Hanging Out with Bob. I'm your host, Bob Edholm, and we're here for another great podcast with one of my friends. Hanging Out with Bob is a podcast where guests tell us their stories, where they grew up, where they live since then, what they're doing now, what kinds of shows they stream, which kinds of books they read, which kinds of teams they cheer for, kind of music they like to listen to, and yada, yada, yada. And the more laughs we have as our guests share their lives, their stories with us, the better. With that said, let me introduce my guest today. He's Jon Lawrence, my friend from Northeast Minneapolis. Just listen to that applause, John. They're loving you already. So thanks for being here with us today.
Glad to be.
Okay. John and I have known each other for about at least 6 or 7 years, I'm guessing. It all started at a bus stop in downtown Minneapolis. I learned that he and I both worked at Voya Financial. And the reason we caught the same Metro Transit bus from work, the 11, what was 11, right?
11, yep.
Yeah, because we both lived in Northeast Minneapolis. And it also turned out that we both had an interest in sports, especially the local teams like the Twins, the Vikings, the Gophers, and so on. So I'm going to step back for a few moments, and I'll let John, or my guest Jon Lawrence, tell us a little bit about himself. Oh, wait, just a second. I got one great joke for you. Speaking of buses, what did the bus driver say to the frog?
I have no idea.
Hop on.
Not funny.
All right. Well, without further ado, I forgot to turn the volume level up on that. Without further ado, take it away, John. It's all yours. Tell us about yourself.
Sure. Jon Lawrence. I grew up in Northeast Minneapolis. I still live there. In fact, I live in the house I was born in a long time ago.
Wow. Okay.
Spent my first 14 years in Northeast. My family moved to southwest corner of Missouri, rural Ozark Mountain, Missouri. And there I lasted about a year and a half.
Ah, okay.
Wasn't, inner city Minneapolis to rural Ozark Mountains wasn't the culture change I was looking for at age 14. So that was a rough one.
For a year and a half you were there? Or
two school years. So,
okay.
This time of year, August, until the end of the second school year in June, and then I hot-footed it back to Minnesota.
Got back up here. Just for the sake of geography, where was it in Missouri? What was the town?
The biggest town near us was Joplin, Missouri.
Okay.
Springfield, Missouri was an hour away
to
the east. So, we're down in the corner. We were actually about 10 miles from Kansas and about 12 miles from Oklahoma. So right where those three states come together, that's pretty darn close.
And that's considered the Ozarks? I mean, were you...
Well, that's kind of the start of the Ozarks.
Foothills, maybe? Or?
Yeah, the foothills, exactly.
Okay.
The further south you go, the more mountainous it becomes. But I assure you, digging holes to build a fence in that soil, I found out I was in the mountains.
Was it real rocky or stony?
You couldn't even dig in the dirt without hitting a rock. It was ridiculous.
Okay, so once you came back, then you finished high school?
Yeah, finished up at Edison High School, Northeast Minneapolis. Spent a couple of years there, junior, senior year. I was taking care of my grandparents. My grandfather was terminally ill at the time, and he didn't last much longer after I got back to Minnesota. And then my grandmother, I would say, split time at best in Minnesota. I would say I was there on my own for a good part of the next several years. Had to grow up a little bit fast, take care of all the bills and all that sort of thing, and while I was still in high school.
Yeah. Now, and then after high school, what did you do? Where'd you go then?
Well, I bounced around quite a bit. So right after high school, spent the summer working for Dean Phillips, actually his dad, Ed Phillips and Sons liquor business.
Huge liquor distributor in Minnesota, right?
Yes, exactly. Loading trucks, and then it was off to for a planned 4 years of college football back in Missouri. which was aborted by about 3 years and 9 months. We weren't quite ready to be a college student at the time, and this was an era when you actually had to go to school and make grades to play football. So
Wow. Okay.
that's kind of how that went.
But then you did go to college, though, right?
I did. So let's see. After that, mechanic school, worked as a mechanic for a few years. That was I went to mechanic school in Anoka, worked as a mechanic. Did a little time in a factory, and eventually started going to college at night school.
Which school?
Minneapolis Community College.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Which was right in my backyard,
Yep.
practically.
Yep.
Got a 2-year degree there. Went on to Mankato State, now known as Minnesota State Mankato. Finished up my 4-year degree in political science. I had several majors during those years, but concentrated on pre-law. Thought I was going to go to law school. I was paying for all this on my own, and I looked at the price tag of law school, and that didn't look feasible at the time for me. So, so I was off into a career.
And obviously, I knew you through working at Voya, but you worked at some other insurance companies as well? Or?
I did, actually. While I was in college, I worked for a security and communication company, worked my way up into management there. Spent a few years after college doing that, and a friend called me one day and said, "Hey, Prudential is looking for underwriters. I think you'd be good at it. I know a guy over there. Do you want to go over an interview?" About that time, I had to buy a house, and salary I was making probably wasn't going to cut it, so I moseyed on over there, and they liked what they saw, and my underwriting career was launched. So 7-8 years at Prudential, another 12 years at a company that was known as Fortis when I first started, but they went public and became Assurant Health. Worked there for 12 years. Obamacare put that company out of business. It was some unfortunate decisions, but essentially every sick person in the world signed up for our insurance, and we hemorrhaged losses right away. Okay. So then on to Voya, where I've worked for 8.5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Alrighty. You told us a little bit about yourself, John. I wanted to know a little bit more about the neighborhood, specifically the neighborhood where you grew up in Northeast Minneapolis. Kind of describe what part of the Northeast that is, and then what you did there growing up, and where did you hang out? Where did you and your friends play baseball, or what'd you do in the wintertime? Where'd you go sledding, that kind of stuff?
So my youth was really spent in and around Marshall Terrace Park, which is right next to the NSP power plant, now known as Xcel Energy. There was a park there, a neighborhood park, and there were a lot of kids around my age. We played sandlot baseball in the summertime. We would play, occasionally mix in some tennis court hockey in the summertime, and then, on ice hockey all winter. So that was.
When you say tennis court hockey, was it like broom ball, or?
Yeah, no, it was like floor hockey.
Oh, floor hockey. Okay, it wasn't ice. You were playing on the tennis.
Oh, yeah, court. In the summertime there was no ice,
so
we made do with what we had. And that was a tennis ball and hockey sticks and a couple of nets and.
For the benefit of millennials and Zoomers, tell them what sandlot baseball means.
Okay, so sandlot baseball is not organized by any organization. There's no adults involved. It's a bunch of friends getting together, picking up sides. Usually you didn't have 9 guys per team, so you'd modify the rules to make it work for the number of players that you had, and many an afternoon would be spent completely. No pressure involved at all, and just fun, and it was great fun.
I feel bad sometimes because when I go by all the ballparks and softball diamonds here in Northeast and Columbia Heights, they're always empty. I mean, I never see like impromptu pickup. games. It's got to be like organized, where the parents are there and they got officials. But we were on our own. We learned
absolutely.
We learned how to work together and play together. Just get made do with what we had. So
yeah, it's unfortunate today's youth were dealt some not so good cards either. I mean, there's a danger element that exists for kids being on their own compared to earlier years when in the neighborhood trusted one another and so that was we were enabled because of that degree of safety, whether or not it actually existed. The parents felt safe to let their kids play on their own and not have to worry about them.
And it is a different time. I acknowledge that, but it's, kids we didn't have phones to keep us busy or video games. And our folks would basically just tell us to go and play and then come home when it was dark out.
Right.
We lived by a park, I remember, in Columbia Heights, and when it got to be dark out, if we weren't home yet, my dad could whistle. And we could hear his whistle from a block away, so we knew it was time to get home. So
yeah, you had better at that point.
Different times, I guess, in that respect. So, interesting thing about neighborhoods. I've mentioned in a previous podcast, John, that in the neighborhood where I grew up in Columbia Heights, about a mile north from here, it was a golf course until the 1940s, mid-40s. It was called Hilltop Golf Course. And because you're from Northeast, Columbia Golf Course, that's the one and only golf course in Northeast. Did you ever golf there, or did you ever go sledding there in the wintertime?
At Columbia Park, absolutely. I mean, I
there's some great hills there.
Learned to golf. My first full round of golf at Columbia was a junior high school activity day. They used to have, at Sheridan Junior High, they used to have a couple of activity days a year where the students could sign up for whatever interested them. There was probably 15 different activities you could sign up for. And there would be a teacher or two or three that would lead that particular activity. And I signed up for the golf. And our activity leader for that golf and the guy that taught me to golf that day was Jerry Wickman, who was a famous guy from Columbia Heights. He was a pitcher that pitched three-time All-American for the Minnesota Gophers. And on to play in the New York Yankees farm system. And I think he made it to AAA before he blew out at his arm. Later on, he pitched for Columbia Heights town ball team, and I think they won some championships with that team.
I remember reading about that town baseball team when I was a kid. So
really good team, and
But that's how you got introduced to golf then, through gym class, and then.
Yeah, well, actually, Jerry Wickman was my math teacher, my algebra teacher in junior high school, and a really good guy. He was friend of my uncle's, knew him well, so I knew him before I was ever a student of his. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Good teacher too, by the way.
Yep. And in the wintertime, did you go there? They had some great hills.
I used to occasionally go there and slide. It wasn't a regular activity, but it's probably a couple dozen times throughout my youth where I went sliding at.
And you could walk there too. It wasn't like you didn't have to go across town. So
in fact, one time I was sliding. Me and my sister, we get dropped off there.
Okay.
And I'm sliding down. This would be kind of in the back of the park over by, I can't remember the name of the company, by Zulk Steel.
There's a Foley manufacturer.
Yeah,
too,
Foley,
right?
over by...
Now it's a pickleball court and a whiskey distillery.
Right, that's the place. So we're sliding on the hill that goes toward Foley.
Yep.
Coming down the hill, and I hit a tree.
Ow!
Oh.
And it knocked the wind out of me, and I'd never had that sensation in my life. And there I'm laying, and I don't know what happened to me, but I feel like I'm dying. And
well, that could be.
There just happened to be some Army Reserve guys there that were doing medical training, winter medical training, and they came running over, and that was a real life practice. For them. And
did you break anything? Or
I did not.
Not a concussion? Or
No, I didn't hit my head. I hit my ribs, I guess, on the tray. I must have moved my head at the last minute or whatever. But boy, that that was quite a sensation.
You'll never forget Columbia then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know, John, I looked this up, I guess a couple of years ago, but did you know that whole area by the golf course was once a lake?
Yeah.
Sandy lake?
Right, like over on the back nine, over on the south end of the golf course.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Sandy
did.
Lake.
Matter of fact, there was a big article one time in the Northeast newspaper about that.
Yep, I think I probably saw the same article.
Right.
But
yeah.
every time I drive by there, I'll think to myself, this was actually a little beach, or over 100 years ago. I mean,
Right.
because the golf course has been there since like 1916 or 19. It's been a long time.
It was improved by the WPA in the 30s. Through the 70s, 80s, even into the 90s, before they kind of re-irrigated, it became perfectly clear that it was a lake whenever it rained hard.
I remember that some holes were just completely underwater.
That whole end of the golf course was a lake
you could
for
see
a few
geese
days.
swimming on what was a fairway.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Well, that's just another example of why they called Minneapolis the city of lakes, because there were so many of them. So
the city of inadvertent lakes in that case.
And just for the benefit of those of us, those who aren't from the area, Minneapolis was called the City of Lakes.
Yes.
And, that was a perfect name. And, of course, the team that LeBron now plays for.
Right, the Lakers.
Before they moved to L.A., they were called the Minneapolis Lakers, and rightly so, because of the lakes. So I got a sports trivia question, John.
Sure.
I just thought of it today. Where was the last Minneapolis Lakers game played? And against which team?
It's a guess. I know they certainly played some games in the Minneapolis Auditorium. They played some games in the Armory.
Yep.
I'm going to guess the Armory.
Good. Yep.
And let's see, what team would that have been?
I had to look this up.
Yeah.
I know the year, but I didn't remember the team.
So they were a playoff team often, and championship team many times. So they were kind of winding down their success, but maybe they were in the playoffs then. I'm just gonna take a guess and say the Celtics.
Well, you're close. They actually did make the playoffs that year.
Okay.
And they went to the Western Division Finals.
Okay.
And their last game at the Armory was against the St. Louis Hawks. It was game 6.
Nice.
And they got wiped out. It was like I wrote it down, 117-96. But Elgin Baylor had like 38 points. He's a rookie that year.
Right.
And a guy named Bob Pettit played for the St. Louis Hawks.
Oh, yeah, I remember Bob
I think he's in the Hall of Fame. He might be.
Yes.
But anyway, they won the division finals, and then they played the Celtics in the finals, but they lost that in 7 games. So they're always good series. And I think that was Boston's second straight championship, and didn't they go on to win like 9 or 10?
Yeah.
I mean, that was in that era. They were starting that era. Bill Russell was playing.
Right.
So, but anyway, I thought that was interesting, just a little side about sports. So.
Yeah.
Okay, again, the name of this podcast is Hanging Out with Bob. I'm your host, Bob Edholm, and my guest today is Jon Lawrence, my friend from Northeast Minneapolis. I want to go back to Missouri again. You had mentioned, we've spoken before about this, but you told me that in that part of Missouri where you played high school, there were actually some really good players, like Division I caliber, where you played.
Yeah, definitely. That was the one saving grace for me, the huge culture shock. I'll say that the area in Missouri where I lived was very religious, very Baptist. And I don't think I ever knew a Baptist in Minneapolis. That wasn't the thing. Not that I didn't go to church. I went to Lutheran church when I was a kid. That's really what my family's religion was. But all of my friends, all of my buddies, all the kids that played sandlot baseball with me were Catholic kids that went to Holy Cross school, and several of them were actually altar boys. So I would go to church and watch them serve. And sit up front and try to distract them and be mischievous.
You're already Lutheran kid, huh?
Right, exactly.
Oh,
Here's a non-Polish Catholic kid sitting in the front row making faces at the altar boy.
That's hilarious.
Back to the. I played football, and I was pretty darn good at it. Actually, I played several sports, but football was really what I was best at.
You were a lineman, right?
I was a defensive end, offensive tackle, much better defensive player for some reason. I was very proficient, and I got to be friends with a lot of really good football players pretty quickly, actually, really good athletes. They were really good. So my first best friend there, the first black kid I really ever knew, his name was Joe Wright. His older brother, Felix Wright, played for the Vikings. Although at the time he was playing for Drake University, he led the NCAA in interceptions the year that one of the 2 years that I lived there. And there were I don't even know what division Drake University was then. Maybe Division
I remember
II?
I remember they were
maybe?
Division One back at least in the 70s, and I remember Carl Kaselke from the Vikings.
Oh
he
yeah,
played at Drake.
guy that got
So I
paralyzed.
think they were, from the motorcycle accident. Mankato, I think, down during like summer camp or whatever.
Yep.
But they did have Division One. Then I think they dropped football for a while, and I don't know if it's back again.
So
It's
maybe
been
it
a long
was
time.
Division One at the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, really good. And obviously I followed Drake because my friend's
Buddy's
brother. Matter of fact, I appreciated a new style of music to me. Funk was introduced by Felix Wright's record collection. Of the mid to late 70s, he had several albums that I really liked this music.
What were a couple of the albums that you remember really well?
Let's see, there was some Rick James,
I remember Rick James.
Gap Band, the Brothers Johnson, several,
a little before hip hop.
Oh yeah, before hip hop.
Yeah.
In fact, hip hop happened. Sugar Hill Gang, I think, came out right before I moved back to Minnesota. In around '79 or something like that. But this was music just before that era.
Yeah. Oh, I remember it well.
And
I remember Earth, Wind, and Fire was real big.
Yes.
Mid 70s, late 70s. So yeah.
Right. Yep. So that was my introduction to different type of music than just straight classic rock. Which I had listened to quite a bit.
Sure. Well, speaking of that, John, and thanks for filling us in about Missouri. That's cool. The last thing I'm going to talk about is your favorites, I guess, growing up, like your favorite TV show, the type of music you listen to, maybe the best concert you ever saw, growing up, the teams that you followed the closest, just kind of get a flavor of what things you were interested in, I guess.
Sure. So, huge Minnesota sports fan, Vikings, North Stars, Twins. Twins were really big for me. When I was around 13 years old, Jimmy Carter was president. We had something called the energy crisis going on at the time, and Carter was doing everything to keep people conserving gas. So they came out with a program where they subsidized public transportation systems, and at the time, if you were an adult, you could ride the bus anywhere for a dime. Which was discounted, I think, from what it had been previously. And if you were under 18, you could ride for free.
Nice.
So by that time, I was, had odd jobs, paper routes, and things like that. I had my own money, so I would hop the bus on 8th and Marquette in downtown Minneapolis, right on out to Met Stadium, and I spent a whole summer going to Twins games whenever I could.
Nice.
Not too much night games, but if it was a twilight game or any afternoon game, I was definitely there. And even a twilight doubleheader, I might go see the first game or something like that.
I still remember those afternoon games at Met Stadium. There's nothing better. I used to love those afternoons. So, what was the first record or album you ever bought? Who was it by?
Ooh, first album I bought with my own money, I think, was Dire Straits' first album.
Oh, okay.
Like
the
one with Sultans of Swing on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Late 70s.
I don't know. I liked music before that. My folks would buy me albums.
What kind of stuff would you have?
I had quite an extension of extensive collection of Queen albums.
Oh, Freddie Mercury.
You know, I can remember the evening at the Nut House, the Northeast Neighborhood House, which was a settlement house in our neighborhood that had an open gym. The first time I heard Bohemian Rhapsody, and I was transfixed. I was like, "What is that music?"
Quite a song.
And that's the first place I heard it, and I was an instant Queen fan, and so my folks would buy me every new Queen album that would come out, which was usually Christmas time. So
what TV shows do you remember watching? You know, just for the benefit of our younger listeners, we couldn't stream back then.
Yeah,
you basically had like three or four
channels.
channels to watch, and you had to watch it when it was on. You couldn't say, "I'll tape it and watch it later." You had to. But do you remember like what was must see TV for you?
Well, so other than sports, which I watched a lot, my big favorite was the Rockford Files.
Oh, wow.
Still a big fan of the Rockford Files, even though I think it's one of the better TV shows ever made. If you have seen The Sopranos, it's essentially the same concept. In fact, David Chase was one of the writers for the Rockford Files. And the guy that created the Rockford Files was a writer and had an important job on Maverick, the TV show. And that's where it started. So you take a typical cliched type like a cowboy, Maverick, and and the character plays against the stereotype. So Maverick was a guy that got out of situations not by gunfights but by fast talking his way out of things and running scams. And Rockford was kind of the same way. You know, we'd had Sam Spade, the macho detective type, and 100 copies of Sam Spade. And here's Rockford, who admits in the first episode he doesn't want to fight a guy because he doesn't want to get beat up. And you know, and he same kind of thing. And The Sopranos, a little slightly different, but kind of the same. So you take this typical mafia boss and all the, you know, the stereotypical, you know, Godfather guy. Well, here's this guy who's this big bad mafioso guy who has to deal with his pain in the ass wife and daughter and mother and all the typical stuff that a suburban dad has to deal with, he has to deal with. And, you know, that doesn't make it to The Godfather or whatever, you know. So that's kind of the concept, goes this, you know, take the stereotypical character and then, you know, play him against type.
The Rockford Files, that was one of your favorite TV shows growing up. What was the first concert you ever saw? Who do you remember we actually paid to go see?
There was a couple of them, but I can't remember what the groupings were. There was a couple of them at Met Stadium.
Okay. Outdoors, you mean?
Outdoors, okay. Met Stadium, you know, the
wasn't that Eagles concert?
Eagles.
Oh, yeah, because that was...
there was an Eagles one. I remember seeing the Eagles, Steve Miller, Pablo Cruz.
Yeah.
And I don't know if those were all in the same
I think
concert.
That was all one. There were like 60-some thousand fans there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It was huge. And what a party in the parking lot.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know, the Met Stadium was special because it was open parking, one parking lot, not like the downtown stadiums that we have now. It was one parking lot, and that parking lot was a party.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what the sporting event was. You know.
Yeah, it certainly was. Okay, again, the name of this podcast is Hanging Out with Bob. I'm your host, Bob Edholm, and my guest today is Jon Lawrence, my friend from Northeast Minneapolis. This is a blast, Jon. It's fun fun hearing your story, I guess. Listen, growing up in Northeast Minneapolis, like where I've lived most of my life. So, and I think we've just scratched the surface. I mean, we've talked about this outside the podcast that we could do, and we'll do podcasts about music. More into that. We can talk more about the Minnesota sports teams, how they've broken our hearts over the years. And we can go on and on about that, but that'll be fun. So, okay. Well, that's about all we have for time for today, but I want to thank you again, Jon, for coming here. I appreciate it. And,
glad. Thanks always for the invitation.
Always fun to get together. You know, I've got so many friends that are people in mind that I want to have on future guests as well. Again, we'll get together with Jon again, but I've got family, I've got friends, people that I grew up with, people that I've worked with in the past, people I've had lunch with, people I've had drunk beer with that I want to be able to have on future podcasts. So again, thanks again to Jon Lawrence for coming here today. And for you listeners, we hope you'll be back for another person's story on the next episode of Hanging Out with Bob. And until then, Bye.